now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and TJ. And in just a few days, it's going to be Valentine's Day. And to celebrate, we're giving you not one, but 2 weeks of romantic movies, starting today with 2025's Together. I just realized both movies are 2025. Directed by Michael Shanks and starring real-life couple Allison Brie and James Franco. If you're not familiar, years into their relationship, Tim and Millie find themselves at a crossroads when they move to the countryside, abandoning all that is familiar in their lives except each other. When tensions already flaring, a nightmarish encounter with a mysterious, unnatural force threatens to corrupt their lives, their love, and their flesh. Now, this is a newer movie. It is on Hulu, so you can go check it out if you like and come back. If not, spoilers are coming.
I don't know about everyone else, but I'm not a Dave Franco guy. I don't really like Dave Franco. James Franco, I know he's kind of a hard thing to talk about now, I guess for a lot of reasons. I always liked James Franco, a lot of his movies. I'm not speaking about the guy personally, but his movies. Dave Franco, I don't know. It's just like discount James Franco, but not as like funny. I know that I don't know. I don't like the guy. I always think of that scene in Superbad where he's like on the walking track and they're making fun of him and he was like, that was like 8 years ago. So, I
People
don't
don't
know.
forget.
People don't forget. Yeah, right. Um, you know, this I don't think anyone who listens to the show or watches the show would be, surprised to hear that like this is not my kind of movie at all. I didn't really like this movie. I'm not gonna the rating I'm gonna give it is not shit, so don't worry, but I didn't like this movie. It's I guess you could call this elevated horror, I suppose. It's neon. It's kind of, it's 2 hours of like misery, despair, codependency, look how broken we are. And you've got the A24 neon like playbook. Neon doesn't always do that, but A24 like the kind of the playbook we've seen so many times with these types of films. And they tell it through body horror, right? They talk about the idea of like codependency and obsession and identity and those type of things, and they tell it through this story. The movie is filmed well. It looks really good. The acting is great. There are creepy parts in the film. There are jump scares in the film that are genuinely creepy and unsettling, including the couple in the bottom of the well that are melded together. It's just, it's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. I try to separate myself from these things. It is hard sometimes because I think about these type of movies and I know such a trend now in horror. And I wonder, like, how many more ideas of these are we going to have? There are these types of films, right? Where you kind of see them and you know exactly what it's going to be, right? I guess it's like idea, I don't know what the word is. It's like subtext first, story second, right? Versus story first, subtext second. I think that's kind of where I land. And a lot of these movies are like using subtext as a way to tell the story, and the story just kind of is what it is. So it doesn't land for me because if something like this, if you feel it is like something you embrace or an identity or something you relate to, I get it. For me, I just, as to quote Hogan, doesn't work for me, brother. Um, there are some things in it that I didn't totally understand. I know that by the end of the movie, you see they're basically coming together by this force that somehow, I guess, took over them when they fell in the bottom of this cave, this hole near where they were. And there's like this bell, and there's like this cult society, and somehow they're trying to do something. Something I miss is when they're in the bottom of that, how did they, for one thing, why didn't they use their cell phone? And two, how did they start a fire? Maybe I just missed that. And it's possible I just missed that part.
Well,
Did
his
that
phone dropped in I think his phone dropped in the water.
Okay,
Because
it did. Maybe I missed that.
He
Okay.
mentioned the songs
they
he
had to
was
put it in the
practicing.
rice.
Yeah,
when
they show
got
it put it
home.
in the rice after they get back.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's why. Maybe I just missed it, and that was I didn't want to just be like that was stupid.
He had a
because maybe I just
cigarette
missed it.
lighter.
Okay, maybe he did. See, that's what I'm saying. I just zoned out
Yeah,
and
because
missed that.
she
Nah.
smoked.
They both started
she smoked a
smoking.
joint. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, I think a lot of it is kind of boring the way they tell it because I think you sort of see where the story's going. There's not a lot of meat to it. You just see basically the idea behind what they're trying to say with the characters, but the story is not super engaging as I think it could be. I think there's definitely some crazy scenes in it, like them having sex in the elementary school in the bathroom. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Them snorting the pills like on the floor, like what? What the hell? Obviously the director wanted to do a body horror movie. I'm sure that they were probably fans of David Cronenberg. I'm sure they watched the Society movie, The Shunting. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they watched that movie.
They
I
probably
thought
were big fans of The Substance.
probably like The Substance, but see, The Substance I think won me more because the story was so interesting, and I
Because
think
it had more substance.
it had right. It had more substance. There was more to the story, and I think you could sort of get more meat out of that. I think with this one, it was just hard to drag this on. I thought the molding effect towards the end was really stupid. Like right before, like one of the last scenes with them together, it was like too CGI. Some of it was good, but then that last, like when their eyes are locking and you see them from the distance, I thought that was a little cheesy. I don't know. I find movies like this just to be, I guess what I'm doing right now, I'm being tedious with my explanation, but I find movies like this tedious because they're telling us something that we already know. They're telling us things that we already know as a society about obsession and identity and all this stuff. It's like, that's like, duh, we all know that. We're not dumb. Like I just don't know why. I don't know why filmmakers waste movies on these topics when that's so obvious. Like, what are we learning from this kind of stuff? And I know what am I learning from a movie like Hard Eyes? You're right, it's fun, but these kind of things never seem to work for me. And I think when they always place the story as second, and then you have these characters that aren't likable. James Franco's character is not likable. Alison Brie's character is not likable. They're miserable. It's just like, oh my God, it's just misery. So I don't know. I didn't like it. I'm curious to see what you all thought, but I wish I had better things to say about it. I didn't enjoy it.
I remember seeing the trailer for this sometime last year, going to see another horror film, and I was initially very excited about it. And then I don't know what soured me, because I never actually went to see it in the theater, even though I was initially planning on it. And then I just messed around and didn't end up even watching it until a few days ago for this show. It was on my to-do list, but there was no sense of urgency. And I think that's probably because I'd had a sense of the general, I don't know, temperature of what people were thinking about it, I guess, and kind of not totally wrote it off, but was like, that's not as high in the queue anymore, that kind of thing. And I think probably for good reason, because similar to what John's said, it is a movie that is all about the subtext of codependency. It's very much, even though it's a neon film, it's playing by the old school A24. Let's tell you, basically a subtextual fairy tale, but in a weird body horror type way, and beat you over the head with the subtext, where it's not even the subtext, it's the forefront message that we're trying to say is subtext, when it's blatantly obvious even from the trailer what this is the codependency body horror film. What I found interesting about it, now I want to go find this movie, is there's an ongoing multi-million-dollar lawsuit around this film, saying it's a blatant ripoff of the 2023 film called Better Half, which I'd heard of. I think in Better Half, if I'm not mistaken, they actually get locked together during the act of sex, which they almost did in this film, but was able to kind of like the puppies that get too excited. They get stuck together sometimes. It's the people version. But just to read a little bit about that, apparently the original writers of that film initially pitched the concept to Dave Franco and the studio like in 2020. Oh, and Alison Brie apparently in 2020. And when you look at the allegations that are put forth in the thing, it's like they even had the Spice Girls to become one song in there, and even some actual things is mentioned in the dialogue, much less the whole overall concept. So I mean, it seems like they have a case, and I believe it's still ongoing. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I get the sense that they went more practical effects because that was a low budget indie film, Better Half. So I almost wonder if I wouldn't prefer that movie to this. I mean, it's an interesting idea. It's probably better done as a short film than a feature-length film because there's just not a lot of meat on the bone. They never even really explain to you what is it in the water that makes this even be a thing. You know, it's supernatural, but it's like, well, the water supply, you know, it's raining into there. Is it in the rain? Is there a leaking off river?
And that's
like,
where like Hereditary pays off, because even though Hereditary is elevated, by the end of Hereditary, you're like, oh my God, it's like a cult. Like it
Yeah.
all pays off at the very end, you know?
And there's a cult in this, but it's almost like, did the cult create the supernatural thing, or did the cult form because they found the already existing supernatural thing? Did a pixie jizz into a fountain and create this monstrosity? I don't know. I don't know how this works. But yeah, it comes off as, and I really like Alison Brie and Dave Franco, and I didn't know until Jay just said it. I just looked it up. They've been married for like over 10 years. I had no idea. I've always loved Alison Brie since Community days. I kind of agree with John. Dave Franco looks so much like James Franco, but seems like at least 62% less talented. Less rapey, though, and apparently a nice enough guy for Alison Brie to marry. So, I mean, maybe he's the good Franco. Maybe he's the Franco we need right now. I don't know. But James was definitely a lot of better parts in movies back in the day. But yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it sells itself as. But then I was actually looking forward to a David Cronenberg-esque type. Okay, you're going to tease this fusion. At least give me some practical effects at the end. I think that was the biggest letdown for me. Like I can give you, okay, it's a supernatural thing. Don't give away the secret sauce or tell me exactly why it happens. Just have it happen. I can go with you on that. I can go with you. There's a weird cult. I can go with you that codependency, obviously, but give me the practical effects. I mean, you built the whole movie to that scene, and then it's like some of the most bobo CGI for a movie I'm sure had enough budget to actually give us a few shots of something cool that looked real and practical. Like it was, I feel like I've seen better CGI in like Pepsi commercials, you know? That's probably the biggest letdown is like, okay, I know where it's going from like the first 5 minutes. But then when it gets there, don't pay it off the way I would expect it to. That's the biggest letdown for me. So it's just kind of like a lot of build up to just a popcorn fart of an ending, you know. It's like, oh, that's what you got me. And then you only get to see like 1 or 2 seconds of what the fused personage is too. I'm almost like that was kind of a cheat. I have to freeze frame to see, okay, what is the together monster fusion. I guess it's a good idea, but it just doesn't engage me long term, and I'll probably never rewatch it again.
And you wouldn't be missing anything. 2025's to Neons together, an hour and 42 minutes, 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the only reason I can think it's at 89% on Rotten Tomatoes is that the critics didn't actually watch it. They just saw Neon before, saw the style that the movie was made in, and were like, 89. Because if you actually watch the movie, it's pretty boring from start to finish. It tries to be eerie, but it never gets off the ground because you don't like the characters. So it's always more eerie when the person involved, like in him, that lady, it's more eerie when she's by herself because it's set up to be more eerie. This, it's almost like they're trying to make a breakup movie, and oh, by the way, they're going to slowly become fused together, which doesn't work because you have two characters that don't really want to be together, and they get to that point in this movie. They say that she doesn't want to be with him, and he's never in 10 years of a relationship can't commit to her. And so why are they the ones fused together? That's the biggest letdown in this movie. They don't explain anything. Why were they picked? What is the purpose of the bell to mark the houses of the people that have fused? And then how does the fusion even work? This is one of those few examples of a movie where a little bit more time was probably needed to make you understand what the fuck is going on. They fell into a hole, drank some water. Alison Brie drinks some water from a guy that's also fused now. And something about that water makes them drawn together, but apparently Valium, which is now called diazepam, it's still Valium. It's a brand name versus generic name. Anyway, I don't know why they had to make a point of saying that twice in this movie. It's called diazepam now. It's still Valium. It's like calling Tylenol acetaminophen. It's still Tylenol. It doesn't matter if it's branded. You're just a generic form of a brand name drug.
Those other guys that wrote that other script they ripped off must have called it Valium. So they're like, it's not Valium.
This is diazepam. Wink, wink. Yeah, it's one of those things where this is a movie where if you're going to introduce that, you need to explain it, because you could take the whole cult thing away and they fell into a creepy cave, drank the water, and they're starting to fuse. You could keep everything else the same except the other teacher, and he could just be somebody who's being nosy and starts to see stuff or whatever, something happens to him. But you could still have the half fused people in the cave because they drank the water and weren't fully committed to fusing. You could have kept everything the same, but don't throw in a whole, oh, by the way, there's something else sinister going on because there's people with bells, and we're never going to get into that.
What was their goal? What was
exactly
their goal?
why? That's the problem. It's like, why these two people that the guy that's watching them sees that they have some kind of marital or relationship trouble. She won't commit to naming him, but that's the ones we're going to choose to become fused together. Like, if you already know that there's a half mutant creature in the cave that didn't accept fusion, why would you go for two people that obviously aren't in the best headspace to be together at that moment? It made no sense. It would be different if they were like super in love with each other and this was them going away to this cabin that they wanted to go and start a family and not live in the city anymore. But you pick two people who obviously hate each other. I mean, and you establish that from the very first scene when she gets down on a knee and she's like, do you want to move with me? And he's like, oh, and can't even like fake oh my God, yeah. No, it had to make the whole thing awkward. But that's the couple that's going to work. They're going to fuse real well.
I got a question though. I just thought of this. So are there, both of their minds would have had to fuse too, right? So they're like thinking both thoughts? Are they like schizophrenic in there?
They don't explain it. Nobody knows.
What happens if one of them is just like truly a piece of shit and they didn't know? And you get fused together, like, oh, he's been fucking every girl he's seen this entire time. Like, you can't unshunt after that. We've said shunting a lot last couple of episodes.
We have. There's a lot. Was there like going on?
Was there like a Thanos level mission here of like reducing the population? Like, what was there? Like, want to become one, less people, less food. Like, I don't.
And I apologize. I know that this is a PG show, and I'm not trying to get graphic, but I can't imagine like I think the sex in Demolition Man would be hotter than being fused to the person that like when you're fused together, you're done. Like it's hand jobs is the closest thing you're going to get to having sex with your partner ever again, and that's as long as you split your mind in half during the time, and she's controlling the right hand and the left hand does something different. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I can't imagine because that's what it's phrased as. The other teacher is like, it's the best expression of your love, and it's like, is it though to look like a Pat? Like we're gonna come out on the other side looking like Pat, and that's congratulations to us. So yeah, I would, and if you're Dave Franco, I feel like you'd enjoy like the physical contact with Allison Brie more if she wasn't physically inside you. And to be fair, anyone that's been in a relationship long enough, at some point in time, you've had a moment where you looked at each other like, oh God, I just wish I could just crawl up inside you. Not literally, like figuratively, like you want to be closer, intimate with that person. This is just insanity. At no point have I ever thought if I could just come on, that would be perfect. That would be yeah. That's called Wild Bill, and they caught him in Silence of the Lambs. um, that's my whole problem with all of this. Um, and here's my thing. The last thing I'll say, because I can't really say anything else that hadn't already been said. Is Alison Brie got in all of her contracts that she has to be naked now?
Apparently.
Because since the TV show Glow, it's like everything I see her in, she's naked. And my thing is at a certain point, it starts to feel like Taylor Swift's newer music. Like she feels like she still has the image of this innocent little girl and she wants to prove, no, I'm a woman now, so I'm going to drop an F-bomb in the middle of this love song to prove that I'm a woman. I'm a grown adult and I can curse. It's like Alison Brie's like, I'm a grown woman and I can show my boobs now because I'm not Annie from Community. Like you're fine. You don't have to keep reminding us you're an adult. We get it.
Yeah.
You've been married to Franco for 10 years.
I think she's older than all of us now.
She's same age, I think. She's right there. But yeah, you've been married to Dave Franco for a decade. We get it. You're a woman. You don't have to keep reminding us that you're grown now. That always feels, I don't know. That always feels disingenuous. Like I said, when it's pop songs and an obvious better way of writing it was to not include cursing, but you included it to prove that you're over 18. I don't get it. But yeah, this movie did not do anything for me, and I was very excited going into it just because they are both great actors, and the way they framed it in the trailer was a little more upscale, I think, than what they ended up going with. Last thing I'll say, God bless the Rat King. If you don't know, that's a real thing. It's horrifying. It's super sad to see that it happens. But of all the things he could have pulled out of the light, I was not expecting that, and it just I don't know. It kind of took me back just to see them all tied together. I was like, oh, but yeah, I don't know what else to say other than this just doesn't hit on any level.
I'm pretty sure you can buy that rat ring somewhere. I feel like I saw it in passing.
It's a real thing, or a Rat King is a real thing. It really happens.
Like the rat ring, like what he pulled out. I think you could physically buy that.
It's
A
called
bunch
a
of
Rat
dead
King.
rats?
Yeah, like it was from the movie. Like someone made it. Like
I thought you meant like the turtle. I was thinking of
I was thinking Ninja Turtles too, like the rat.
but I see what you mean.
No.
They pulled it out of the
Yeah, no, that's actually what it's called. It
Yeah.
happens when rats are clustered close together and their
Yeah.
tails get intertwined.
It actually
Rat King.
happens.
Yeah,
Oh, so that
called a
so
Rat
they
King.
were.
That's a legit thing.
I thought the rats were all shunting together and half happened. That's not what was happening there.
No,
Well, I
they were
think
just
it-
all tied together.
I think they were. I think that was kind of alluding to that, though.
Okay,
Right?
I thought it was.
That's probably why they
actual.
used a Rat King.
Okay, I didn't know
So-
that was actually a thing that happens. With
So
Someone
you can
did
get-
their research.
all right.
So let's say it together. Codependency. That's what this movie's about. Whoever wrote this movie has had some terrible relationships, it seems, or maybe in a relationship that I'm pretty sure I know I have. Kellen, like we've been in a relationship at some point in our life where we wanted to get out and we didn't. We drug our feet, or we were scared, blah blah blah, and then you just kind of stop. You stop being you. You lose your own identity. You do kind of essentially metaphorically fuse into your other person. This movie is just such a cocktail of themes. Like we got the codependency, anxiety, your loss of self, identity crisis, commitment, all through body horror, which I like body horror because I like Cronenberg. Like I love Cronenberg. But this is also one of my least favorite horror subgenres. It's like, and it's hard to describe. I've talked about it before, but it's like relationship drama in horror movies. Like I don't like that. Like where it's external force trying to tear a couple apart, or a demon has possessed this woman that's trying to sleep with the girl's husband. Things like that. It's not my favorite. Um, I don't know that I was excited for this movie. I don't have anything against Dave Franco. Um, James is better. I do like Allison Brie. On Community, we all wanted to see her naked. Now we get it, and someone's complaining about it. But I like this movie enough. I didn't see it in theaters. That's how you can tell if I'm excited about a movie these days. Like if I'm truly excited, I'll go to the theaters and see it. Um, I don't know if everybody they talk about it in the movie. Who's seen Justified?
I love Justified.
Who
The
was
TV
he? He
show.
wasn't Dickie Bennett. Who was the guy? So the other teacher is from Justified, wasn't he?
Which
Dewey
teacher?
Crow? Was he Dewey Crow in Justified? I may be completely off base there. The other guy who had fused, the teacher.
He looked
I'm pretty
familiar.
sure he was in Justified. He had tattoos on his neck. But besides the point, he mentions it in the movie, and if you don't pay attention, you kind of miss it. But this is based off the Plato's myth of soulmates, how we were basically all born as basically the cartoon version of Pac-Man. So we were all spheres with arms and legs,
Hmm.
two faces, and then Zeus was jealous or thought we were going to be too powerful, yada yada, and he split us. So Plato, this plays on that myth that we're constantly searching the earth for our other half. Like that's what they were trying to get into there, and it's kind of a roundabout way to get there.
His
Uh,
acting credits do include Justified.
yeah, I think he was Dewey Crow, something like that. Anyways, fantastic show. Um, so we're constantly searching for that other half to make us whole again, and that's what they're trying to play at here. Like, okay, they both have their faults, they both have their issues, but together they'll be fine, right? Which is not the case. Like we're all in our 40s. We know that's not the case of anything. I hated the opening. Obviously, the poor puppers, they didn't deserve that. Um, this movie, horror, sure, but it's Neon, which Neon is just A24's baby brother, right? But honestly, Neon's kind of better these days. I think getting Osgood on their roster has definitely helped, but it's not scary. There are a few scary scenes, but it's unsettling. That's the new thing. That's the A24 horror version. It's unsettling, it's
Hmm.
uncomfortable, it's cringy, it's maddening. Um, the fact that Allison Brie and Dave are a real life couple, I think helped with some of that cringiness because there's some scenes in there like if it was just two random actors, I'm like it's so fucking weird. Like where he wakes up and she's straddling him because they're connected, which is what's in Kellen's picture there. That was probably my favorite scene of the entire movie. So in the beginning when they're unpacking and he pulls out that saw, you're like, okay, so we know that's coming because he's just like in Hard Eyes with the metal straw. We know that's coming back, right? So when they're sitting there and they pull out that he wakes up, I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, we're fused together. I'm gonna cut this shit off. Like, that was nuts. That was probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie, I think. Because what else are you gonna do? Like, yeah, you can snort your muscle relaxers and hope for the best, but if you truly get connected like that, your choices are pretty limited. So the fact that they went there, I appreciated that. The bathroom scene, Christ on a cracker. I'm still hurting from that scene. First of all, and I know they're not in their right minds, right? But doing it in an elementary school bathroom, a boys' bathroom, so cringy. And like, if you really put yourself, like, let's take a second, and try to put ourselves into that situation, right? We're feeling it, we're hot and heavy, we're in the bathroom, having a little fun, and you can't get out of your situation. Like, literally get out. Like, could you imagine? Like, So that's why, yeah, it's a horror movie, but it's more uncomfortable than anything else. It's just so uncomfortable. Um, which we already mentioned the shunting part. Um, I will say I probably like this movie better than you guys, but that's typically the case, right? Like Jay's the one who likes everything. Does Jay own it? No, I don't own it. Psych, got it right here. But I liked it enough. Um, I do want to see the one from 2023 that they're saying ripped off, but it's so hard. It's so hard to be original these days. And like we're all any movie you watch, there's gonna be something else like, oh, that reminds me of this
I'm
movie.
sure as soon as It Follows and some of those things come out, somebody was already codependency. That's the subtext for my horror movie.
STD Ghosts. That's It
Right.
Follows. I think
Yeah.
the sequels They Follow. I'm interested in that. But anyways,
Yeah.
I don't have anything else on this. Like I think it's a good watch. I understand not wanting to rewatch it often or ever. I get that completely. It's definitely a one-off. I think I've seen it 3 times now, um, and I'll watch it again. Kellen, you didn't mention the eyeball scene. I thought maybe that would.
I was gonna at the end explain my rating.
That was rough, and what an ugly fusion. They weren't a very attractive person. And I guess that's the point. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're together forever now. You're soulmates. You don't need anybody else. Doesn't matter what you like. They had the Eugene Levy eyebrows.
It kind of reminded me of the kind of quiet, nerdy SNL girl that's on this season.
Oh, the one that plays she's got awkward dialogue and
Yeah.
yeah.
I kind of wish they went a little bit longer when the parents showed up. And like, I would like to have seen that reaction. Because how do you explain that? Right? That was weird. But yeah, there's definitely some things I didn't like.
Like, who's this person in this house?
Right, like, oh, I'm sorry. Anyways, we'll go around and give our rankings, close up shop. Who went first,
Yeah.
John?
Everything you just said about Zeus and all that, I just thought of like a better movie, honestly. Just the idea of like making that part of the story and then the end where you have all these shunted people coming after them. And it's like, I mean, God, that would have been, I'm almost thinking of like more of a Hereditary type of scenario with it. I wish they would have done that. I just don't think, movies like this, they're trying to tell something, but I don't need a movie to tell me that relationships are toxic. Like, I feel like that's kind of obvious unless you're just, I don't know. I get it. Every movie can be made. People can tell their ideas. I just think the world is already sucky. And I watch a movie like this and it's like pouring salt on the wound, because I'm just like, God, more of this, more misery.
At least
and
there was some comedy, though. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that helps the salt on your open wounds a little bit because there are some situations where you're just like, okay.
Right. There is some comedy. I thought about it today. I'm like, how many more of these types of films are they going to try to make? There's just endless. I'm never going to guess them all. I know every year there's going to be another one where I know it's coming. I think ultimately the subtext is the text, and that's where I don't like it. I think that's where it loses for me. So it's a 2 out of 5 for me. I think it's not a terrible movie, but I won't watch it again. So.
Next.
Yeah, I didn't like this movie. I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. It's for all the reasons John said. I wish to God, and I liked everything that they called elevated horror for the first, half a dozen or so that come out of any note, and now I cringe at even the word elevated horror now. We need to just get away. Elevated horror is not a thing. We elevated it until we de-elevated it. It's not elevated anymore. It's down below the ground and it needs to be
Thanks on a
buried.
Plane's elevated horror.
That's true. 30,000 feet elevated. I'd watch Snakes on a Plane 1,000,000 times over and enjoy it.
We should
I'm
put that in
tired
the
of all
bucket.
these mother
Than watching this
confusions
movie.
of our motherfucking bodies.
Well, you know where this is now. The elevated horror now is where the slasher genre was in 1985, 86. It was burnout. It was like, okay, we've done it. Let's move on. That's kind of where it is, I think.
And the reason they started doing elevated horror was because they were burned out from all
Right.
the other trying to make remakes of all those things from the 80s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, there was only so many versus movies you could do before everybody was like, no, no more.
Right.
It's a 1.5 for me. I'm probably not revisiting this one.
Wow.
Jeez, Kellen.
Jane Wickline is who I was thinking of, and I
Yeah.
apologize to her. I'm so sorry, but that's exactly who I thought of when I saw it at the end. I was like, oh, it's the girl from SNL, and I was like, oh no, that was probably a CGI. I'm so sorry. So if anybody knows her, just tell her Kellen from the Horror Sanctum sends his apologies.
I'll text you.
Jay mentioned the eyeball scene when it was happening. I kept pulling further and further back. I hate eyeball stuff. Just the thought of their eyeballs touching.
That's probably the best scene for me, to be honest with you.
Well, what actually surpassed that, surprisingly, was the hair scene, because there's nothing worse than swallowing and feeling a hair go down your throat, and then to imagine just the whole yeah, and then he's later like, oh
That
god,
was like the Ring Girl's hair.
nothing will kill my appetite more than biting into something and then just feeling it. Okay, anyway, so for those reasons, I give this a 2.
Jesus.
Wow, I went lower than Kellen. That's surprising.
Yeah.
That's a rare occurrence.
My thing, the acting saves this because they do act their asses off, and they're fantastic actors. It's just everything else in the movie was just so underwhelming.
I went 3. I like it enough. I will say I think someone else touched on it, but when they did fuse together, that was one of the worst parts, just because the CGI was very wonky. And I know both of them have deep pockets. They could have, as producers of the film, they could have thrown a little bit more kashish towards that to make it a little better. But that puts us at a 2. So together, 2025, 2 out of 5 eyeballs fusing together. 2 become 1. The Spice Girls thing was a little cheesy too.
That's like the definition of 2 on the nose.
Yeah. I get why you're doing that, but like at the same time, like, did you need to do that? So, all right, that's it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. Join our Facebook group. We have an Amazon Music playlist as well. Also, if you are listening to this episode and you made it this far, thank you. We appreciate that. Send us a message and say Happy Valentine's Day, and we will send you a Valentine card and maybe something else while supplies last. So just DM us, or you can DM me directly, whatever you want to do, and we'll send you a little Valentine's Day card. So enjoy your Valentine's Day this weekend. Don't be a fool. Wrap your tool. Don't be silly. Wrap your willy. Signing off, I'm Jay with John, Kellen, and TJ. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.
and happy Singles Awareness Day.